I had with a second pregnancy, I almost have had a little bit more self-doubt.
People expect that you've got it down and you're gonna
Yeah.
do it again and you've got it all figured out.
Yeah,
But
which is
that
not true.
but that can make it lonelier.
I still haven't figured out how to carve space for myself, even with one. So like add another one to the picture, I'm like, where's that time for myself gonna come from? I don't know.
You'd think that the second time around will be easier, but in fact, it might bring more questions because you've been there and done that, and it's not really answering all the things that you might need to know. And you might also choose to do things more your way rather than what you have tried to do previously, right? You're not just preparing for baby anymore, you're doing it with the weight of having done it before and another little one in tow. In this episode, I'm talking to Jen, a working mom who is soon to be a mom of two, about what it's like to navigate parenting and pregnancy again, this time with more self-trust and maybe fewer rules. So Jen, second time around, does it feel like you've got this, or you're like, here we go again, or a bit of both?
I would actually say neither. I'd be highly enviable of any parent that's got this mentality of, I've got this. I feel like I never have this. I think the overwhelming feeling is excitement that we were lucky enough to be blessed with another one. There's a bit of, yes, we are less shooting in the dark because we have been through the first, but also I'm just conscious that this is a whole new baby. Like it's not going to be a carbon copy of Violet. And so we'd have to be ready for anything, but mostly excitement for the new edition.
I can imagine that, second time around, you have acquired wisdom and you feel like maybe you might choose to do things differently because you are also more aware of what was working and what wasn't working, right? So are there some things that you might do differently this time?
Yeah, I think this time around, I will really try to like dial down the outside voices. I think first time round, I mean, you have no idea. You have no clue. You'd like a blank slate. And there's many voices that are...
It's so easy to get swayed,
Yes.
right? Because you're like, oh, maybe that sounds reasonable. But it may not fit what you are going through currently.
Yeah. And so I think having been through things with the first one, I will try to, I guess, follow my own instinct a bit more. And
yes.
I don't know, it's still a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of push aside voices that may not be helpful.
I remember when I was mothering Zane and I was told so many times, you shouldn't be doing this. This is not the right
Yeah.
way, you need to do this way. You're not bringing him up the way he should be brought up. And I think I had so much self-doubt in really just questioning me. I'm like, and after a while, after about like 1.5 years, I started thinking, maybe I'm a bad mom because, I'm not
Yeah.
doing it right. I'm trying to do things the way that it should look like, and
Yeah.
the pull is real and the frustration is real as well.
Yeah.
I would like to ask, with all this intentionality, I imagine that some things caught you off guard. What caught you off guard in your second pregnancy?
I almost have had a little bit more self-doubt, which is kind of strange, right? Because you think, oh,
That's
I've got a track
interesting.
record, my first is like still alive.
Yeah, here to say this is not
Still
strange.
fine.
This happens. Ladies, this happens. Yeah.
I suppose with the first one, I wasn't overly anxious. I think we were just like, well, we don't know what we're doing. There wasn't a huge amount of anxiety, but it was like you're still struggling through and trialing and error. Like feelings I had with a second pregnancy, I thought, oh my gosh, we've got the audacity to go again. Like, do we think that we've perfected parenting so much to even like have the cheek to have another one? That was kind of a weird thought that would go through my head in second time pregnancy. And like I would share this with my husband and he'd be like, no man, like look at Violet, she's doing good.
She's
like,
doing so good.
but that's a weird, I don't know if it's almost like imposter syndrome.
I guess it's this unspoken assumption that you've done it once and you feel like people expect that you've got it down and you're gonna do it again and you've got it all figured out.
Yeah,
But
which is
that
not true.
but that can make it lonelier? What's something that you felt that you needed but didn't really ask for?
I would say in the first time
Yeah, or to
parenting.
rephrase this question, like what's something that you felt you needed, but people assume you didn't need this?
I think the return to work, that was a real struggle for me. And I think maybe I should have given myself a lot more grace. I mean, I was very much trying to overcompensate, like just slotting right back in and not factoring in that you do need a lot more bandwidth, like, because
You're
you've got this
rediscovering
whole,
yourself as
yeah,
well.
you've got this whole new person to look after plus your full-time job. And so that's something, returning to work with a second one as well. Like, yeah, I'm going to have to navigate that somehow.
One day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time.
Yeah.
But I think I will definitely give myself more grace. I remember someone telling me with the first one, when going back to work, you're like, you need to parent like you don't have a job and work like you don't have a kid. And I was like, okay.
It's funny because
don't know
in
how
the
you do
previous episode with Laura, she said exactly
yeah,
this.
and
Yeah,
I was like,
so
that is such a bad mindset. Like
it's
doesn't,
not possible. We
the
can't
sums
choose.
don't work out.
There's no 100% of work and 100% of baby.
No.
We don't have 200% to give.
No.
Yeah.
So that's something, like that's a mentality you've got to like put to one side.
That's so true because I remember really needing to allow myself to have grace and embrace
Yeah.
my imperfections, embrace those, like and even the support that you look for from certain people, like the friends that you used to have or your relatives. Some of them are like, you need to go through this because you chose to have a kid, like, and that I felt that really hurt. Like, I didn't feel heard or seen or validated
Yeah,
because
it's so rough.
I'm just going through this emotions, and sometimes I just need that lifeline and someone to just sit next to me. So that grace of accepting the messiness, the chaos, the not
Yeah.
knowing what to do was so important. So how are you feeling about the shift from 1 to 2 kids and having to manage all that?
I know. Oh gosh, like in the weekend. So we were having like a big feelings moment with Violet, and I'm like, oh my gosh. There are moments like, I don't know how we'll handle another kid on top of this. I know people do it though, but I mean, my parents had 3 kids. Your parents had 3 kids.
But it doesn't matter what people
I
do
know.
because it's about you. It's
Yeah.
about you and your family going through something new.
Yeah, and all emotions are valid. There are moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how we're gonna do it.
And you're also juggling more.
Yeah, like, could I be more physically exhausted? Like, what happened? Do I just?
There's no end. It's a bottomless pit.
But then what I keep remembering back to is how excited I remember being when Michael, my younger brother, was born. So I was about the same age that Violet will be. I think I was like 2, maybe like just over 2. And I remember it being so awesome. So any kind of fear or negativity, I'm like remembering how like cool it was to get a younger sibling.
Oh,
And then that's
so
reminding myself
special.
it'll work out.
It's very precious, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Violet is excited. Like kids, they know.
Yeah.
Like they have intuition and they're smarter than we give them credit
yeah.
for.
She was like really wanting to help put together the bassinet in the weekend. Like she wants to be part of it. I think
She's ready.
Yeah. She takes the big sister role very seriously.
But I hear you, like every mom, no matter which pregnancy or which stage, we all deserve support, right? And it's not like we've got it all figured out. Who has it all figured out? Or I don't have it all figured out. So, and I think when I was speaking to Laura, who sees moms coming into her clinic, she's a physiotherapist, right? And she goes through mom after mom after mom, and she's like, you're never really ready. I'm very interested to know the difference between your first pregnancy and your second pregnancy. And are there things that you are choosing to do differently this time? Because perhaps in the first pregnancy, before you gave birth, you were reading lots of books and getting lots of information from courses or groups that you might join and hearing from moms how their experiences was like, right? But this time you might choose to do things your way or differently.
With this pregnancy has definitely been different to the first pregnancy. So the first pregnancy, you're so conscious of it. your body's never been through this before. So I was religiously tracking everything.
Wow.
Had my app. I knew like which fruit I was every week. You're just so aware of it and conscious of it.
And excited as well.
And so excited. And I remember watching every week by week, like, you know, the what to expect thing.
Yes.
And then there was actually another YouTube channel I was watching, like some British one. So, you know, and like triangulating all the week to week things. But then this pregnancy, because you're so busy with the first child and like tired from work and things, there's been no tracking. Like, I'm not to say like it's been an afterthought, but you're definitely not thinking about the pregnancy as much the first
I
one.
would definitely highlight that now you know the difference between what's important and what's not really important. You know, these are nice to haves,
Yeah.
but they don't really matter as much, you know, when as long as baby is healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And she's growing well. You just get on with your life in a way when you're
Yeah.
pregnant, because you can't really control what's going on in there. You can only
Yeah.
control yourself, like, you know, in your own health, your own mental state, your own emotional state as
Yeah.
well. Do you feel like it's harder to ask for help then, because it's like the second time around, and like, you know, in the first time mom, everyone's like, ooh, we need to support her, and then second time around,
Yeah, possibly actually. Yeah, possibly like there's no novelty factor for you here. So it's like, well, you know, you just get on with it, right? Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of assumption that you have it together and you know what you're doing. You don't. Because at the same time, you're still first time parenting like a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old.
Well, I'm not a second time mom yet, but I remember really struggling with letting go of my baby. Oh, you know, when I was bringing him up. Remember when you had to trick me into a date night with?
I know.
Oh, okay, like, you know, but because
It really threw you for 6.
Yeah,
You're like,
I
what?
know.
So Zane's going to stay here? I was like, yes.
And how old was he then?
I think it was 2.
Oh gosh.
And I was like, you leave.
Yeah,
And
I
he stays here and you shut the door.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can use the excuse that he came early and he was in ICU for 1 month and all of this. And I feel like, you know, I need to help him get along and catch up.
That would probably be part of it. Like, you know, your desire to protect him and like always be there.
But it was also a real struggle in terms of I wanted my sense of freedom back. But at the same time, I want to be the best mom I could be to my son. I don't know if I've truly mastered this art of asking for help, you know, like,
and
you
like
know,
carving space
yeah,
for
have you
yourself.
found ways to
No, not
ask
at
for what you
all,
need?
actually. And that's part of the like apprehension. I'm like, I still haven't figured out how to carve space for myself, even with one. So like add another one to the picture. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Where's that time for myself going to come from? I don't know.
From what I understand, you do travel for work, and you know, I couldn't even take my first solo trip until my son was 4.5. You know,
Yeah.
like I couldn't. That was how much, I guess I would say, anxiety that I was carrying in terms of
Yeah.
like, you know, maybe like hovering over, like taking care of him, and yet trying to balance not helping him when he falls down as
Yeah.
well. But that must be also hard, or your travels. Yeah.
It's like you physically feel like your heart is breaking. Like like when you're at the departure gates, it got harder when she was older and knew what was going on. So my first trip, gosh, she was 10 months old. So I'm the one that cried more. Like I think I was crying the whole way to Hong Kong, and like her and Daddy are just like, she's like, bye. No, she wasn't even waving, I don't think, because she was so young.
And how
But
long
then,
were
so
you
that was
away
for 4 days, I think. And then, you know, as she gets older and she knows what's going on, she knows like the airport, and it gets harder. And then when she's like, bye, mommy, you're like, oh. And I think it'll still be like when she's like 18, 20, 25. Like I think any kind of
She'll
goodbyes,
always be your baby.
you know, your heart just will break. Like a part of your heart is going to stay with them, you know, back in Singapore, wherever you go.
Have you found like a rhythm now for these trips, like the preparation? Or
It's weird though, because she's different at each stage, like at each age. With this next one coming along, I'm kind of like, I can't think about that right now.
I'm so happy to wrap up with a lighter note. Like, what's something you're genuinely looking forward to in the coming months, or for this second chance in a way?
I feel like I've already had a preview of it. So Violet will come and bring like toys and give them to baby sister, or like she'll give her like a spoon of her cereal. She'll be like, "Here, baby sister."
Really?
to my
Even now
stomach.
when
Yeah.
she's
Just the glimpse of them together, like Violet
that's just gonna
sitting
be
with
so
her.
precious.
I think
Yeah. Oh, melt your
it's going to melt my heart.
heart.
It'll be really
Yeah.
lovely. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is that even though it's second time around, every mom really deserves that care and support because it's different. It's not the same experience. And if you see a mom that's pregnant again, please don't go, she's got this, she has feelings too.
She does.
Yes. And you still need that care. You deserve that care and support and space to feel every stage as if it's your first. I hope that from this conversation, take away that we will give every mom the care and support that they deserve. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you. One thing I do feel a bit guilty though is like I feel I was so much more fit and strong for the first pregnancy because you had time. I mean, you had time to rest. Yeah, I was like still doing spin class at 30 weeks.
You're doing yoga now.
I mean, like every second or third week. I think this one, because a lot of your time is spent with your first child, like I guess chasing after them is kind of a form of exercise. But yeah, I definitely physically don't feel as strong as I was for the first pregnancy. So I don't know if that means
And
how
it's
the baby's
okay
gonna
for
be
this
the
chapter
second
to
one.
feel different because
Yeah.
every baby is different as well. It's so exciting though. I mean, it's a new adventure in a way, and it's
Yeah.
coming across. And if you do miss little baby, like newborn smells and stuff, you get to go through it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel we were quite fortunate with Violet because she was, I don't want to label like good babies or bad babies, but I feel she was like overall, not a terrible baby. She kind of did, she wasn't colicky or anything. So it's like with the second baby,
She was good to
you're
you.
rolling the dice again. You're like, my strategy is just to set expectations really low. So I'm like expecting a really, really hard baby, like colic and everything. And then if it's not that, then it's a bonus.
I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Like setting expectations low, but
Yeah.
also just not having expectations and just accepting baby as baby
Yeah.
comes. Yeah, I think that's so valid in itself. If there's one thing this conversation really reminds me about is that this isn't a repeat performance. You don't have all the things figured out because it's a new chapter and you deserve to treat this as a new chapter as you go through this journey. You don't need to prove yourself, don't have to have everything figured out, but you do need the support, the care, and the validation as a mom. I hope this episode helps you to feel seen and heard. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of In Motherhood.